Okay, thank you. I'm going to wear my glasses. So, kind of want to pick up where Ariana left off with NOFA and just say thank you to NOFA. Thanks for having us. Thanks for asking us to be here and to present. Really, I have to say this past year, we've had so much support from the NOFA crew, Devin, Scott Morgan, Tony Kennett, and a very powerful Callie. They've all been very supportive and really inspired us to be here today. They said, please talk about organic mushrooms. And then they said, we'll give you space and you can basically bring in any other topics that we were interested in. So we have done that. Like Ariana said, if you're not already, you should definitely become a NOFA member. I think it came with your ticket. If you bought a ticket, you kind of got that membership. But then also really get active with NOFA. It was such a fun year. Did so many adventurous, unexpected things with NOFA. And I've been a member for a while. So I have to say, on me, getting active helped so much. We did the Vandana Shiva movie at Hopewell Theater. Got us all fired up for the year. Then we did the oyster farm on the Delaware Bay, Sweet Amelia, ate my first raw oyster. Really adventurous for me. I was not going to do that. And then who can forget? The sweating at the banya, at the Russian banya for wellness a week for NOFA. So, okay, I'm not doing that again, probably. That's although now I'm a sauna fan, so that's good. It's always good food. It's always good energy. It's always a lot of fun with the NOFA crew. And, if I think they would appreciate, I would appreciate, and I know they would appreciate having more support as a community and from the public. It's not only organic farmers, it's not even farmers. So anyone, can be part of it and should consider joining and participating. So with that, let me talk a little bit about our presentation today. I think actually NOFA and connecting New Jersey farmers, who does it better, right? I think, again, that's the inspiration from here. And I'm really now taking this one step further and using that same analogy and bringing in fungi, because fungi do so much connecting in our world that I think as with farmers, we can do the same. So this is me. A couple of years ago, I put a wine cap bed in my backyard. It was supposed to be in that raised bed that you see behind there, but mushrooms do what they want. One night after the rains, it was like, oh, look what we have here, all over the grass. Not at all in the bed where I planted them. So that's mushrooms for you. But Alice said it best. You're not going to be the same. So just a little disclaimer before I get started here. Mushrooms have the capacity to transform. They have certainly transformed me and Jake. We started as, lone wolves, kind of tunnel vision engineers, not so connected. And now we've evolved and, we have a life. We really have a really good life now, and we have a lot of fun with mushrooms. So we got the itch from farming, just to give you a little background on us, right? So we got the itch from farming from our backyard, from gardening, and we thought, oh, this is great. We should look into farming, and luckily, mushrooms found us, and we let them take us and guide us, and here we are today. It's been an adventure, and it's brought some surprises. Probably one of the most surprising things, which I'll talk about today, is I am for the first time excited about New Jersey policy. I am maybe even going to start talking to some politicians, but I am still a little engineering program, so I have to give you an outline for my talk today. And in general, may go off on a few tangents, but we're just going to tell you. Although I think a lot of you here are already good fungophiles, we're going to talk about why you should care about mushrooms. Hopefully we'll give you a couple of things that you didn't know already. a little bit about sharing what we know about organic mushroom growing, and then our magical future. It's magic mushrooms, yes, but it's also community and other things.
So this is our one slide on like biology, mycology. And the whole point here is like, we just don't know what's out there in terms of fungus. There might be like up to 95% of fungal we just have not identified at this point, have not classified scientifically. So there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to grow into, and that is like really exciting for us. And the other thing I guys want you to take away from today's presentation is that mushrooms aren't plants, right? There's the fungal kingdom, there's a plant kingdom, animal kingdom, so please don't call mushrooms. And I also want to give a plug to the NJMA. If you guys are into mushrooms, the NJMA, they're just incredibly knowledgeable. They're just, when they identify, I'm not good at foraging, I'm not good at identification of mushrooms, but these guys are just off the hook and they always impress me. Every Tuesday there's, what's it called?
Taxonomy Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, Taxonomy Tuesday. And so like members will upload photos of mushrooms they don't know, and then the experts will identify them for them. And there's also Fungus Fest at the end of September. It's if you're a mushroom lover, it's a must-do. And I have to say it's probably the event of the year, second only to NOFA Winter Conference. There's also Fourier's online lectures, so if you're into mushrooms, please, NJMA. So this slide, okay, first of all, Americans just don't eat enough mushrooms. You guys got to up your game a little bit. So we're only eating 3 pounds of fresh mushrooms per year per person. Meanwhile, China's up at 44. So what I'd like to see is like, if we could just get up to 9 pounds a year, it would really help us. I'm not asking for 52. We don't have to beat China, but let's at least get up to North Korean or South Korean and European levels. And then also, this is the production of mushrooms, of just the agaricus, so it's your buttons, it's your portobellos, it's cremini. And you can just see like how much is being imported. And this is how much the US production is. It's just like so very small. So again, it's like we have a large area to grow into, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth. This, again, is just showing, this data is a little bit outdated, but you can just see like how much China has grown in growing shiitakes as well. And then again, it's Japan, and then we're just part of this other. So there's a lot of place for growth. In the US, 97% of the mushrooms produced are your buttons. So your buttons, portobellos, cremini. And then this little wedge, this 3%, is what we're focused on. So it's all the wood-loving mushrooms, like the lion's mane, the oyster. Then you compare that to worldwide, well, 22% of being what's grown is, this is shiitake, this is the oyster, this is the buttons, oh no, this is not buttons, this is wood ear. These are the buttons, so that's 15% compared to our 97%. Enoki came in pretty high at 11. The 5% is paddy straw. And again, there's like others like lion's mane that fit into that 10%. So we have room to grow.
So you've probably been hearing maybe some stuff in the news about mushrooms, and you know it is a superfood. People are getting more and more aware about mushrooms. Maybe it's not a silver bullet, nothing is, but it is a superfood. And every day I feel like I'm hearing something new they're discovering about mushrooms. It is a really good source of a complete protein. So, you know, for the plant-forward people, mushrooms is a great substitute for meat or an add-on to your meat dishes. It's a good source of vitamin D. So mushrooms, this is kind of where mushrooms are a little more like animals than plants. So they actually produce their own vitamin D, kind of like we do through our skin. As we get exposed to sun, as mushrooms get exposed to sun, they get vitamin D. They're just good. it looks like a laundry list, but this is not necessarily, I'm not going to delve into all the health benefits, but it's good for your immune system. It's good for all your systems, your brain systems with the lion's mane, your heart system, your gut system, sugar regulation. It's pretty much everything bad, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. Anti-cancer is a big one, actually. Anti-cholesterol. And then some of the compounds you'll hear about, especially if you look into like tinctures and extracts, as they start talking about beta-glucan concentrations and polyphenol concentrations. And these are the special compounds that mushrooms have that give you all these benefits. Some of the newer ones I've been hearing, I'm not even going to try and say them. It's these last two over here. And the last one, the ergothiamine, I think they're both antioxidants. But the ergothiamine, I just read this article in the new Fungi magazine, so it kind of brought it all together. I'd heard it last year from one of my customers telling me about the health benefits. And lo and behold, there it is. It's the longevity vitamin. It is considered to be it's protective of, they believe it's protective of your DNA telomeres. So kind of this article talks about this interesting intersection, which, for NOFA, members, it's probably not a big surprise that soil health and human health are connected. So the humans can't create ergo in their body. We have to consume it from an outside source. And mushrooms are like some of the highest sources. So oyster mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms have the highest concentrations of any foods of this vitamin, ergo. It's also found in, all the fungal matter in soil. So they postulate that as we've been tilling our soils more and more and breaking down those fungal ecosystems, our food, our vegetables and our grains no longer have those high concentrations of ergo that they used to in the past. And so that's sort of depleting the nutritional level of our vegetables. So definitely regenerative and organic farming practices is building up our soil again to get that ergo. But definitely also eat your mushrooms.
9 pounds a year.
And it kind of tied in this with the new, if anyone's listened to it yet, it's the new podcast by NOFA. We should all be subscribed to it. This was by our friend Tony Kennett. He interviewed a few people from Massachusetts who did this really interesting project for their grant where they took finished compost. I thought this was really unique. Finished compost and then added spent blocks, which is what we have, into the compost so that it didn't break down the fungal matter. It kept the fungal matter alive in there and then used that onto soils. And they found that it increased biodiversity. And I'm kind of thinking, they didn't check, but I bet, and maybe I won't bet, but no, I'm betting. But it'd be very interesting to see if the ergo also, even though maybe they're putting oysters and lion's mane and things that are not mycorrhizal with their plants, whether just in general that fungal activity is increasing the ergo in plant matter, making us all healthier. So mushrooms are definitely in the news, and I'm just going to kind of say they're getting mainstream if they're not mainstream yet. This is not a new TED talk, but I think this was a 2008 TED talk, which is still very popular. Paul Stamets, I used to call him an ambassador, a really good ambassador for mushrooms. I think now we're calling them influencers. So he's like the 21st century influencer. So if you haven't watched that TED talk, it's a very good one. Some other people in the news or bringing mushrooms to the news, Michael Pollan. This is a really good book. From there, I started following and listening to a professor out of Johns Hopkins that he talks about, Ronald Griffiths. Unfortunately, he passed away last year. But Johns Hopkins continuing to do a lot of research on psychedelic mushrooms, and the results, they really look like, there's a lot of promise in this. So between these two gentlemen, I did a 180 on my views on psychedelics. More recently, you might have seen the fantastic fungi. I was talking to someone today in the morning who was mentioning it. To me, that fantastic fungi is basically took what's in Paul Stamets' head and projected it onto a screen for us to see. It's visually attractive. It's worth seeing. It's on Netflix now. My favorite, though, is Entangled Life right now. I am obsessed with Merlin Sheldrake. He's, he just brings like a real wonder and energy into the unseen parts of the fungi kingdom. One of the things I picked up on was this study about the wood wide web that he talks about. And so I Googled it and I found it. And it's kind of to understand really that complexity of mushroom in our ecosystem. Kind of like Jake was saying, we know, like, we don't know 95% of what fungi are doing right now, or 95% of fungi, and we almost know even less about what they're doing in the ecosystem. But this project, they just took a small forested area, 30 meters by 30 meters, and over several, I think, years maybe, don't ask me how, they plotted the connections between one species of tree, the Douglas fir, and two species of a single type of a genus of mushroom, of a fungi. And basically, these are the connections. These are showing the connections, the fungal connections between the trees and the fungus. And really, it is kind of like a spaghetti, right? It's so much. And this is not all the trees in the forest. This is not all the fungi in the soil. It's not even the plants, all the plants, smaller plants in the soil. So it's really interesting to see how everything's all, interconnected. It looks like the bigger trees tend to send food through the fungal channels into smaller trees to help support them. They're sending information. It's not like the fungus is getting nothing. The fungus has also got this symbiotic relationship with the trees, so they're getting nutrients. Usually, they're giving the trees phosphorus and getting carbon is what they believe. And they also send the information about, if there's an attack. So I think there was a study with wasps, some sort of wasp or aphid, I think, attacks. When they attack plants, those plants send out notices through the fungal network to their fellow plants to let them know, hey, we got some problems, build up some chemical resistance to your system. So, the fungal network is amazing. And now I know as farmers, we do also have issues with the parasitic part of fungus, the little problems they might cause. But overall, I think we're just starting to understand how useful and beneficial they are. From this model, I guess I would say, I think one of the things he says, which I love, is pretty soon you can't see a tree as an individual anymore. It's so connected to every other tree and other organism in that forest. It's all now becomes one entity. And so cutting down large trees becomes more problematic.
Okay, so this is Noble Mushrooms. This is who we are. We're very lucky. We have 4 great staff members that work with us. And, right now is a very slow time in terms of production because we're not doing farmers markets. So, we went through the same period last year and our staff was just getting through their work so quickly. And they were always bothering me. What do we do now? What do we do now? And I was just just work slower. Stop doing, stop. I don't have any work for you. Just take it easy. And so this year I was like, nah, you guys are getting your own projects. And when there's not enough work to do, you do your own projects. And yeah, now it's just they have such great projects that we're working on. It's like cordyceps we're working on. We're working on reishi as a building material and other projects. So we're really excited with the work that they're doing. We're certified organic. And that took a lot of work, and it remains so. It feels like we're on the phone with PCO weekly, and things are kind of being made up as they go as well. So it's rewarding, but it's also frustrating. We went organic mostly because our main product are mushroom blocks, and so we sell those mushroom blocks to other farmers. So if the other farmers wanted to go organic, then it'd be really easy for them if the blocks that we sold them were organic as well. So it's really trying to serve our customers more, why we went organic. Sure.
Explain what a mushroom block is, please.
Yeah.
You got us. We were supposed to bring one.
Yeah, I'm going to hold it up here. Next slide. I'll get to you next slide. Yeah. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Oh, by the way, we're also supposed to be recording this, and we are not doing that either. So.
Oh no!
If any of you guys are taking video, it's 8:30 in the morning. Give us, But also, like being organic, it helped us be at NOFA today, and it's opened up some doors. So it's good. Okay, so fungi life cycle. 2 spores will, here's 2 spores. They'll form like little thread-like mycelium hyphae, and then the 2 will meet and then exchange DNA information, become mycelium, and then produce a mushroom, and the mushroom will produce spores, so it goes around and around. We can kind of use that in farming. We can take a spore print and take some spores from the spore print. And the way we do it in the US is we'll put it on an agar plate, check it, make sure it's clean, watch the mycelium grow. And then from the plate, we'll go on to sterilized grain. And then from sterilized grain, we'll inoculate the bulk substrate. And this is a mushroom block. So the mushroom block is like, for us, it'd be like sawdust and a supplement. And for us, it's like soy hulls. And we inoculate it with spawn, and then all the farmer has to do is cut a hole in it, and the mushroom will grow out. It takes for us, it'll take like 2 weeks to grow the mycelium out in the bag, and for the farmer, it'll be like 2 weeks until the mushroom grows out of it. And they're little like 5-pound blocks. So that's one way you can do it. And then, so if you're trying to hit the genetic lottery, you'll take the spores because you're not exactly sure what's going to come out at the end. I mean, you know what species it is, but you just don't know how the genetics are going to look. If it's going to be a big flush, a small flush, what the properties of that mushroom are going to be. But what we can do instead is to clone it. So we can, if I know of like a mushroom that I like from another mushroom farm, I can just steal their genetics by taking a small piece of mushroom from the inside, putting it on an agar plate, and then going all the way through the process again. Are there any questions on that slide? Yeah.
When you have the culture on the agar plate and you want to inoculate the grain, how do you scrape that off the surface and get it into the grain? How do you get it to inoculate the grain?
So I skipped a step actually. So usually what we do is take an agar plate, take a wedge, and then you're going to put that into like sterilized honey water or like a sugar water, and then let that mycelium jump off the agar into the liquid culture. And then you take some of the liquid culture and then squirt it into this. That's the easiest way of doing it. But you can also take a wedge from the agar plate and just put the wedge into the grain. You can also, the way a lot of people do it, they'll just take the spores from the mushroom and just put that into the grain. You can do that too, but you're never sure if there's contamination because you didn't go through that step. So there's lots of ways of doing it. Okay. Where am I here? Okay, so what we do is we do all the wood-loving mushrooms. And so this is the whole list of mushrooms that we can grow on our blocks. And it's cool because we can grow a wide variety. If we were doing buttons, it would just be all the compost-loving mushrooms. But things like shiitake and lion's mane and oyster all like wood. So an example of some of the things we do is we do blue, pink, and yellow oysters. I wish everyone would just be happy with blue oysters. They're so tasty. They're so easy to grow. But people like variety. They like the color, so we're happy to grow other varieties as well. King and black pearl. Chestnut is a prima donna. They're beautiful, but they're very finicky. Lion's mane's, again, easy to grow. You've seen that one in the news a lot because of brain health. It's very delicious if you know how to cook it. If you don't know how to cook it all, white beech is a good mushroom for you because it's tasty no matter what you do to it. Also, a pioppino is also very delicious as well, kind of like a pork flavor. I refuse to grow enoki. They're just way too difficult. They don't want to work with me, so I don't want to work with them. I don't care. There's also my all-time favorite, though, is namiko. It's that cashew, caramel, slimy mushroom. That's so great. And then this is maitake.
Yeah, that slide got a little.
Yes, I got a little screwed up. So we have done it all. So once we give the client the block, the mushroom farmer, they have to give it oxygen, because mushrooms like to breathe like we do, take in oxygen, give off carbon dioxide. If they don't do that, the mushrooms will get corally and they'll get tough, so it's not ideal, it's not choice. Humidity over 85%. Temperature, they are temperature sensitive, and we'll get into that to the next slide. Light's helpful, but it's not like a main consideration. Contamination, you always have to be cleaning as a mushroom farmer. It's like nonstop. And then pests, we deal with pests too. So we have fungus gnats and pleasing beetles that like to lay eggs in the gills of like oyster mushrooms and eat out the gills. So we have, most people will start with like this kind of a setup. So these are mushroom blocks. Those are definitely not our mushroom blocks. Those look terrible. It's not even our setup. Just saying. But this is like the first setup. It'd be like a Martha, where it's like a tent and you have humidity coming in and they're allowing for air exchange. And then we went to our backyard. So we used to grow in a shed for a little while. And that's me growing in a hoop house. And then this is what we're growing in right now. We grow in shipping containers. The floor is looking super clean in that shot. Good job, guys. So this slide is the temperature. And so only thing I wanted to show here is that certain mushrooms will only grow at certain temperatures. So right now it's winter, so we're doing king trumpet, we're doing the miko, we're doing beech. They all like it a little bit cooler. And then in the summer, we'll stop growing those and we'll do pink oyster and yellow oyster. And then you always have your friends, the blue oyster and lion's mane, just producing mushrooms throughout the year. Okay, so this is Noble Mushrooms. So we are kind of centrally located in Somerset County. And because we sell mushrooms for sure, but we also sell a lot of blocks. So these locations are the farms that we work with. And like weekly or every other week, those farms will come to us, buy blocks, and then go back to their farms. Come to us, buy blocks, buy spawn, buy culture, and go back to their farms. And what that allows us to do is to have constant contact with our friends and see like what's working for them, what's not working for them. So that's like a big benefit to being part of a group. Another great thing is like some of these farms will push us to be like, hey, can you grow this species? Can you put it on a block for us? And can we try to grow it? And so we'll do that for one farmer, do it for a month. And if we have success with that one farmer, then that mushroom species will go to everyone in the network and be like, hey, do you like it? Do you like it? What are your feelings about it? And we've had some really good success, and we're growing some very interesting mushrooms that I don't think most other people even know about. So it's really cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about was like the benefit to a new farmer. So if a new farmer comes in and just wants to know, should I grow mushrooms? Should I not grow mushrooms? I can be like, well, why don't you come in on Friday? Because I know Smiling Earth picks up their mushroom blocks from us on Friday. And you can talk to Smiling Earth, you can talk to us, you can kind of tap into our network of knowledge, and you can ask them, well, how are they marketing to restaurants? What mushrooms are they growing? What are the growing conditions? Are you having troubles with this? And so all that information right now is going through us. It's going through Noble Mushrooms. But we hope like in the future, what's going to look like is it's going to look like this. Whereas like everyone's talking to everyone, all the farms, not just mushroom farms, are talking to each other, and we're really serving our community in that way. And so I think, I guess really can meet our customer demands too if we work more as a network. So like, for example, I'm sure like all the farmers here felt that dip in farmers market sales after COVID. And I just feel like the reason that that's happening is that we're just not meeting our customers' needs. Our customers still want to support us, our community still want to support us, but we're just missing something that we're not serving them. So I think in a network, we'll be able to figure that out and serve our community better. In 2018, Mark Shepard gave a keynote at NOFA, and one of the things that resonated with us is the need for small farms to join together. And I think there's a lot of potential for farmers of all types of farmers to join together. But today I just want to talk to my mushroom farmers. I don't know if we asked you, Dave, if you can mention you, but Dave from FatCap wants to possibly set up a growers association. You know, Noble Mushrooms has tried to set up a co-op, and I think we're like 0 for 2 for a mushroom co-op. But maybe a better answer is a growers association. So before we leave today, I would just like all the small mushroom growers to get together and see if we can come together and work on a project like this. You know, the scope isn't defined, nothing's really defined, but I think like through collaboration, we could come together and do something really special. And maybe next year, instead of us doing this talk or us having a booth, it can be the Small Growers Association saying, you know, what we accomplished together the past year. It'd be really great. So contamination, as a mushroom farmer, it's a 4-letter word. We always try to avoid it. But I think it's also, we have to look at it as contamination, as collaboration. I think, you know, we're so used to just keeping our cultures clean and be focused on that one thing. I think that we get stuck in our own heads and we miss the opportunities around us. So the next couple of slides, like we're going to be a little bit vulnerable and we're going to tell you some of the projects that we're thinking about or that we need help on. But we also want you to share your vision of what community can be like. And I think if we all join together, it'll be very profitable and rewarding for all of us. So be a little vulnerable, share your ideas with us for 2024 and beyond. So the following are things that we need to do in 2024. So we're going to contaminate you guys a little bit.
So if you've done any outdoor growing, usually this is the mushroom you start with in the Northeast. It's a native mushroom, the wine caps. Strophoria is the genus name or species name. It's a fun mushroom to grow. We've done it a couple of times around, a blueberry patch. We've done it at a hazelnut farm. Really a little unpredictable because it is in the outdoors. It likes to grow on wood chips. It actually will eat through a lot of stuff. It'll eat through cardboard and straw as well. But it's a little unpredictable in terms of getting a good yield and knowing when it's going to get a good yield. They just kind of show up, and like I said before in that first slide, they just kind of do what they want. They are really good for your soil though, and even if you don't get a mushroom to eat out of it, or they are choice edible, even though they're not, in my opinion, stellar taste, they are choice edible. But they're good for the soil. They're known for their remediation properties for both the soil as well as for stormwater. If you listen to Stamets, he did some studies on that. They're called garden giants. But really, once they get to that size, they really don't taste that good. You really want to try and get them small. They don't have the biggest market. I haven't been, at least myself, being that successful at bringing them to market. One is their unpredictability, and then the second is that they're okay in taste. I haven't had too many people even like chefs request it. It's not that high. Maybe if we find out some amazing medicinal qualities, that'll kind of change that, because I think that sort of moves our market quite a bit. But, from the soil perspective, there was a grant done, a USDA grant looking at tomato yields with this mushroom, the wine caps, grown underneath the tomatoes. And I mean, I thought the results looked incredible. They had a control, they had just straw mulch, and then they had the wine cap, which is the SRA. And, the yields were clearly like stellar on the tomato plant. So, if you're not using...
So do they not get the wine caps into straw or into wood chips? Or?
I think it was into the straw.
Into straw, okay.
So they had no straw, and then straw with the Stropharia. Yeah. And this is a SARE grant that Field and Forest put out there. It's a couple of years, 2021. So it's a good project. Funny that honestly, I didn't take it from them. I had already done my slides. They said the same thing, a little bit unpredictable in terms of getting the mushroom, though. They did do it outdoors, not in a hoop house. If you do have like a pick your own kind of farm, I mean, I would suggest this because that is like the funnest thing about the wine caves is picking them. They are just like, you just feel like you do feel like you're Alice in Wonderland, just picking. This mushroom this year has kind of got my attention a little more. A complete departure for me, not a native species, Alma decaricus, not a wood-loving mushroom. This is a compost-loving mushroom. It's well studied for its medicinal qualities, the Alma agaricus. We grew it indoors in totes this year. Really, really cool mushroom, right? This like golden brown color, kind of has this typical square cap that that's atypical for mushrooms, but typical for this mushroom. And, maybe this got a little oxygen deprived, so it got a little longer stem than it should have. But really fun. And we really like to keep going with this and keep trying to get this. So we're looking for farms that we can, work with and get these preferably into hoop houses, again, to give us some control and see if we can get a much more substantial and predictable yield. I'm almost positive I could sell these easily at my farmers markets. I think they're really popular when you cook them up. It's just like you're baking. There's this almond smell in the air. It's really strong. It doesn't taste very almondy, but it tastes like a good mushroom. And whatever we can sell, I would dry because the medicinal properties are so high. I think it's going to be a really valuable mushroom. So that's my next interest.
Nope.
Nope.
You got that one.
I got one more. Okay.
Two more.
If anyone watches Bob's Burgers as much as I do, okay. So the woolly Neptune was a mushroom they went mushroom hunting for. And we're convinced what they were talking about was the wood bluet. So just look at it. It's like this beautiful purple mushroom. I mean, I would really love to have this at my farmer's market. It would look so good next to my pink oysters and my yellow oysters, all these colors of the rainbow. I think, it has a good taste. It's a choice edible. It has a distinctive flavor, slightly anise-like. It grows in woodlands in the leaf litter. And it's just, it seems like we need to pay attention to this mushroom. So I'm going to look for Jeff over there at Wild Spawn. It is native too. Thank you. It's going to spearhead anyone who's looking to do more work or work with us on the Lepista nuda. It's one of the few Latin names by no means I can say. We would love to have that and see some of those yields come back to us. Hopefully, don't forget. And this is my pride and joy. This was my experiment this year. Some people say failed, but I'm just saying experiment number one. I grew the best corn ever. I got gifted a Lenape non-GMO seed. It's 12 foot tall. It had corn cobs like 2 feet long, really, really white. And then we ruined it by injecting corn smut mycelium into the stalk, into the cobs, and into the silks. The stalks were kind of interesting. They would spit it back at us. So that didn't work that well. And then, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. I have a deeper respect for corn growing than I have ever had. This is what I got. This is not what I got. That was from the internet. That's what it should look like if you get a nice huila corn smut, as Americans call it. Luckily, I know some farmers, so people growing popcorn were nice enough to find corn smut on their corn and give it to me. And so I got to taste it. It's got a less... it's a mild taste, I'd say. It's not as intense as you might think. It's kind of corn flavor too, mild, earthy. It's nice. I don't think this may not be the $1 million project here for our community, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And one of my friends from Texas suggested this, and we're going We're going for it. We're going for a Nacho Libre party this year. So all corn farmers, anyone growing corn, please call me when you get your corn smut. We'll gather it up. We'll do tacos. We'll watch the movie. We'll do thumb wrestling. What else do we do for Nacho Libre? We'll get Mexican music. It'll be fun. So let's plan on that for 2024. Oh, I'm losing my voice.
Yeah. Okay, so we just wanted to talk a little bit about a different analogy, the matsutake. This is a very important mushroom in the Japanese culture. To them, it smells like village life and childhood, visiting grandparents and chasing dragonflies. Urban legend, it's the first thing to grow after the bombing of Hiroshima, and it absolutely loves deforestation, impoverished soils. And the reason it can do that is because of its association with the red pine. So because this mushroom grows like in a community of other things, it is able to respond to any disruption quickly and first, and it's just a great fungus like that. So this is kind of an analogy of if they can respond to disruption positively, and I think we can too. And of course, the disruption that we're going to talk about is magic mushrooms. So this bill was just reintroduced this year. They've tried 2 times in the past to introduce this bill, and it's just not coming up for a vote. And basically, the legislator is saying that New Jersey has a high prevalence of adults living with behavioral health conditions, and the state of New Jersey thinks that they can improve the physical, mental, and social well-being and foster wellness and personal growth through psilocybin therapy. And the psilocybin therapy is kind of the key words, because this whole bill is really centered around the therapy side of it. And the mushroom cultivation is like a very small part of it. But since we're all farmers here today, and we're at a farming conference, let's talk about farming. So are magic mushrooms manufactured, or is it an agricultural product? Is it a drug or a crop? I mean, these words matter. In the bill, they say the word manufacture means planting, cultivation, growing, and harvesting. I mean, to me, that sounds like a farm. And if you have a farm, you can't have a farm without a farmer. So I think these words matter. And if you use the word manufacture, then who's going to grow these mushrooms? It's going to be big business and big money that's going to be growing them. And I just want to say, we're part of our mushroom network has been growing mushrooms for over 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, and we are part of our communities, and our communities support us. Our farming network supports NOFA, supports New Jersey Mycological Association. We are the ones at farmers markets every weekend, supplying food to restaurants and food to grocery stores. The New Jersey mushroom farmers are really, really, really good, because we have to be good, because New Jersey's a tough place to do business. It's a tough place to be a farmer. So in our opinion, mushrooms should not be treated as a manufactured product, and farmers deserve to be listened to. Do it.
Most of the psilocybin being produced and used in places like Colorado and Oregon is actually synthetic psilocybin being produced by the pharmaceutical companies who are trying to limit farmers from growing it because they want to sell it for $7,300 a dose, not $65.
It's certainly a thing where, and like all the studies are being done with synthetics, and that's also in the bill. They're saying it can be grown or you can have synthetics. So it's going to be very interesting. Although there was that study, there's a company in Canada that's saying that they can grow the mushrooms, extract the psilocybin cheaper than what the pharmaceuticals can make which I don't know how they can do that. Once you give an organic chemist a molecule, it just seems like they can do it so cheaply. But it's something that we have to watch out for and look at and talk about as a community, for sure. Okay, so just a little bit more on this bill. It's, like I said, they're going to give licenses to product manufacturers, natural or synthetic, like we were just talking about. But when you sell that mushroom or the product, it can either go to another product manufacturer or it has to go to the service centers. So the service centers are the ones that are going to provide the service of giving you the mushroom and spending, like 4 or 5 hours with you as you trip, and then doing, then helping you process your experience. I think they also just popped this in where you can just also do homegrown, which I don't understand how that fits into the bill. Oh, by the way, in this part, this is where they call magic mushrooms plants. So a little issue there, state of New Jersey. But anyway, you can grow or process your own in this bill. So I think this bill should also be supporting the farming community as a whole. There has to be a way. There has to be a way. To me, when I think about farmers I met through NOFA, when I visit your farms, I feel relaxed when I step foot on your land. We've been at farms during a NOFA conference or a NOFA event when the sun is setting. I just can't believe how beautiful it is. It's so special. We talk about set and setting, mindset and the setting of the trip. Is there any better healing setting than these farms? I can picture a small retreat centers, organic food, yoga, just a break from the hectic life and just take a breath. And I'm not sure how to get there, but I think it's worth a try. What would a farm that's totally integrated, organic produce, mushrooms, magics, mental health centers, what would that look like? We won't be able to ship psilocybin containing mushrooms outside of the state of New Jersey, but how about having people visit New Jersey small farms instead? It's just like a different type of agritourism. You have more on that slide.
Sorry. So another idea, sort of taking the bill at face value, right? They talk about mental health and mental wellness about 10 times in the bill. Racial and economic equity is mentioned 5 times, and issues confronting veterans is mentioned twice. So let's, we're farmers, we're doing our own thing. Let's dream a little. What can this look like? What would an organization that had these ideas at its core mission look like? You'd need your farms. You'd need your health providers, you'd get your marketing and financial types, you'd get all the supporting services that you need for a community. And then it would basically be saying, hey, we're going to take care of ourselves and our community first, and then we're going to worry about returns to investors, another day. That's not going to drive us. This would be such an exciting project to be the first in New Jersey to get licensed, right? So it speaks to really the spirit of the mushroom, is, in my opinion, that this is what it was here for. This is what it's come for. It's the community that is important, and it's not just important in the people where with mental health issues. To me, it's helping all our mental health. It's helping all our societal issues when we kind of come together. I would love to work on this kind of project, right? I don't have to be the one who's growing the mushrooms, but if I can be involved, I would, this would probably be one of our urban centers. It would be a great project to work on. How fulfilling would that be to see something like this take off? I don't know all the issues around mental health. I don't know all the issues that are going to come up. But I think we're smart people. I think if we come together, we can find and understand better how to address the issues that come up. Maybe you guys see yourself in some special niche too. Like where's your heart leading you? Where would you like to work with us on this? Or maybe, just in a broader us. There should be more than one license. It's really not clear where this is going. It's really not even clear that we can get a voice here. But I think it's something worth fighting for and worth trying for. And this is for me saying, hey, we've got a louder voice together than we have alone. I don't have to do this.
Can we go to the next slide?
Yes. If it's just me and Jake there, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's nice. You guys want to grow magic mushrooms. But I feel like if we come together as a community, not just the mushroom people, but all the farmers as well, I feel like we need to have that. We'll have a seat at the table. They can't not give us a seat at the table then. And we'll have a clear message to make the changes that we want to see in this bill. I would like to see, go ahead.
Do you think that there could be a public reaction to, would it be better to have farmers, produce this instead of pharmaceuticals?
I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I think this would actually help the bill move forward for any in the public who have hesitancy and uncertainty about it, putting it into farmers' hands and helping farmers stabilize their incomes and continue to grow for that community in the other ways that they support that community anyway. I mean, we all know it's not easy being a farmer, right? Farmers are always struggling. I feel like crying every time I hear someone, closed shop and decided to go do something else other than farming. So I feel like this is so important. I feel like, in my personal opinion, it should only be farmers. They should not allow, they should not allow the synthetics. I understand why they do the synthetics in terms of control of concentrations and everything, but if they need to grow, I feel like the farmers should grow. And they should not be big warehouses full of them.
So I just want to pay attention to the time.
Thank
We're
you.
a little bit over.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I will move fast.
Just with the keynote starting.
Thank you. So I think no matter what happens, we'll have a win on this. No matter how much they listen to us or how much they don't, it's going to be a win for us, and we'll learn to work together by then. And no matter what that bill looks like, we'll have an answer to it. And I'm just going to finish up. Go ahead.
Have you spoken to the policy committee of NOFA?
I have.
And what's been the response?
They have been helpful, but we haven't gone very far yet. So we're waiting for us to get together.
Last slide.
So just ending on something that I'm going to read from the Hindu mythology. In the abode of Indra, the Hindu god of space, there is a net that stretches infinitely in all directions. At every intersection of the net, there is a jewel, so highly polished and perfect that it reflects every other jewel in the net. We are those gems, and when the light shines, the color of my gem will reflect on you, and your light will be reflected on me. Each of us influencing each other, being with each other, all in the net of God. So let's share. We are done.